The last few days, Sri Lanka was in crisis, and today things got so bad that they declared default on the national debt. So what happened? Why is this country bankrupt? Let's find out the main cause in this video. Demonstrators in Sri Lanka tried to attack the presidential residence, and the police responded with water cannon and tear gas. Social media sites have been banned, and nights have been announced across the country. Prior to that, thousands of people took to the streets in anger against the government, as the country fell into a state of shortage of fuel and food. It can be said that the Sri Lankan economy is in serious principle. More specifically, in February, Sri Lanka's foreign currency reserves were only $2.3 billion compared to January, down 70%. With foreign currency so small that Sri Lanka could only import goods to meet the needs of the people within a month. It is worth mentioning that this country's import demand is very large. Even basic and essential goods such as sugar, seeds, and medicines must be imported from abroad. Unlike many other countries, they are self-sufficient in domestically produced food and essential goods. Due to low foreign currency reserves, importing these goods is becoming increasingly difficult and scarce. As a result, the prices of these basic commodities increased rapidly and inflation soared. In February alone, the inflation rate reached 25%. In an interview, a teacher in Sri Lanka said that his family spends about 30,000 rupees a month, which is equivalent to about $870. However, in February, his family had to spend up to 83,000 rupees, or the equivalent of about $2,170. In addition, Sri Lanka is also facing a serious energy shortage, as fuel oil is also imported from abroad. People are only allowed to use electricity for 4 hours a day. The electricity shortage is so great, Sri Lanka's electricity minister must instruct officials to turn off streetlights to save electricity. Gasoline also always has long queues of people waiting to buy gasoline. So what brings Sri Lanka to such a bad state, when the problems of a country are always very complicated for various reasons? But below will be the main causes included. The first crisis is the religious crisis. Sri Lanka is a country with a dominant service-based economy, where tourism is the main economic sector. But in 2019, a number of its citizens disrupted their own economy. In particular, terrorist groups believed to be Muslims organized devices at churches and hotels on Easter Sunday, killing 269 people, including 45 foreign tourists. It prompted travelers to immediately cancel flights to Sri Lanka because they felt unsafe. After that incident, anti-Muslim riots broke out and the homes and property of many Muslims were damaged. Of course, the Muslims also reacted strongly. It makes Sri Lanka even more unstable, more dangerous, and less attractive to tourists. Sri Lanka's devastated tourism industry lost a huge source of income. That is the first cause. We come to the second cause, which is the COVID pandemic, while tourists are decreasing due to religious unrest in the country. The flight embargo caused by COVID makes Sri Lanka less and less touristy. Without customers means without money. COVID is also attacking both society and the economy of this country. Huge budget resources continue to be devoted to fighting the epidemic. The economy stopped production to fight the epidemic. Sri Lanka fell into poverty and is now even poorer. The government should increase foreign borrowing for spending. The third is the president's fault. In 2019, Gotabaya rose to the presidency. Soon after, he fulfilled his campaign promise. First, it reduces taxes. According to the logic of reducing taxes, the price of goods will be cheaper, making people spend more money, stimulating the economy to develop more. But this logic is not always correct, as Sri Lanka cut taxes in a timely manner, i.e., during the COVID pandemic. People who are locked up at home cannot go buy goods, however cheap they may be. So the tax deduction becomes meaningless. Not only that, but it also has the opposite effect, meaning that the government runs a large deficit in tax revenue. Furthermore, the president also promised to make Sri Lanka an organic industrial country away from chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Although it brings benefits to the environment and public health, the policy of banning the import of chemical fertilizers and pesticides is too sudden. Instead of slowly overnight,
the president ordered a nationwide ban on imports of chemical fertilizers and pesticides.
The sudden change put the country's agricultural sector in trouble. The harvest that year was reduced by 30%. Sri Lanka from this self-sufficient country of rice had to import. In just 6 months, the government had to spend $450 million to import rice. Tea was also an export item that brought a lot of foreign currency to Sri Lanka. But after the ban on fertilizers, productivity also suffered a serious decline and the tea industry collapsed.
And the fourth cause is China.
It is said that China is using forest trap diplomacy.
China is Sri Lanka's main creditor. China lent Sri Lanka to build the international port of Hambantota at a cost of $1.3 billion.
However, this port suffered heavy losses which made Sri Lanka unable to pay its debts. To pay off the debt, Sri Lanka sold 80% of the stake in the Hambantota port to a Chinese company in exchange for Sri Lanka receiving $1.2 billion in foreign currency. This reduces the trust in government management. With the above 4 reasons, the value of the Sri Lankan rupiah fell sharply. In March, $1 was exchanged for 200 rupees. Now the conversion rate has dropped to $1 to 326 rupees. Currency depreciates, imports become expensive. This causes more inflation and the currency continues to depreciate. The economic crisis was so severe, all 26 ministers in the Sri Lankan government submitted their resignations. Finally, until now the Sri Lankan economy could not pay its debts and declared default. A country declares default. What will happen next? The video ends here. Thank you all for watching and liking it. If you think the video is useful, give us a like and subscribe to the channel to support us.